Hello everyone, welcome to Get My Class. So let's solve this question here. It says in Lac Operon, Z gene codes for option A beta galactosidase, option B alpha galactosidase, option C trans acetylase, and option D cis acetylase. So what does the question say? The question says in Lac Operon, Z gene code for. So what is this Z gene codes for in case of Lac Operon? So we all know Lac Operon, it's that unit of the DNA, or you can say that part of the DNA in case of prokaryotes, which actually codes for or which is involved in the digestion of a particular type of saccharides, which is called as lactose. Okay, so it helps in lactose digestion. Okay, so it codes for all the genes which is necessary to break down lactose. Okay, so it codes for, or you can say it contains all the genes which will code for the enzymes necessary to break down lactose. And this Lac Operon will be switched on. It will be switched on only in the presence of lactose. The presence of lactose. Only when there is lactose is present in the medium and there's no glucose in the medium, then directly it cannot, of course, glucose will be very easy for it to digest. So it doesn't have to switch on this particular, operon. But when there is lactose in the medium, then it has to switch on this particular operon. So it gets switched on only in the presence of lactose. So that you have to remember. Okay, if in the medium only glucose is there, then this will not work. Now, in the absence of glucose and in the presence of lactose, what happens? This Lac Operon gets switched on, and there are three main structural genes which are there. There are three structural genes which actually code for particular enzyme needed to break down this lactose. Okay, so this lactose will be further broken down to galactose and glucose by the enzyme coded by gene called as Z gene. Okay, so there are three structural genes, as I said, Z gene, Y gene, and there is one more gene which is called as A gene. Okay, now this Z gene is the one which codes for the enzyme for an enzyme called as beta galactosidase. And what does this enzyme do? This enzyme will act on lactose and will convert it to galactose and glucose. Okay. Then this Y gene codes for an enzyme called as permease. Which will which will increase the permeability of the cell for this particular enzyme. And A gene is the one which codes for an enzyme which is called as trans acetylase. Okay. So these are the three main structural genes which code for different products or different enzymes which are necessary for the digestion of lactose. So mainly the enzyme which is involved here for breaking down of lactose is beta galactosidase. So let us see. In the question it says in Lac Operon, Z gene codes for option A beta galactosidase. So this is the correct answer. Yes, it is coded by Z gene as we have discussed. Option B says alpha galactosidase. So there is no gene for alpha galactosidase in case of Lac Operon. Option C says trans acetylase. There is a gene for trans acetyl, that is A gene. But then this they are talking about Z gene, which is the product of the Z gene. So trans acetylase is not the product of Z gene. It is the product of A gene. Hence it is ruled out. Option D says cis acetylase. Again, they don't have a gene in case of Lac Operon for cis acetylase. So hence it is ruled out. So what is the correct answer? The correct answer for the question which says in Lac Operon Z gene codes for, the answer is option A, that is beta galactosidase. So let us conclude option A is the correct answer. I hope you understood the explanation. Thank you.